Alrighty, folks, we're 4-0 in our last 4 daily best plays on my premium site. It costs just 6 cents a day to join. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my Major League Baseball free pick video here today for Saturday, June 1st, 2024. Happy Saturday to you. Hopefully you had a great start to your weekend. And of course, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. And if you want to see which one of these free plays on this video that I actually like the best, you may want to think about joining my $1.99 daily best play. Like I said, it costs just 6 cents a day for 30 days of service. You get one premium selection every single day for the next 30 days for just 6 cents a day. It's patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, folks, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to start off with the Pirates at the Blue Jays, 3:07 Eastern first pitch. Toronto's minus $1.65, totals 8 runs. Yusei Kikuchi for Toronto, Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh. And, you know, Keller, he's having a solid season for the Bucks. He's 6-3 with an ERA in the 3s. He's facing a Toronto lineup who struggles getting runs. These guys are a bottom 5 run-producing team in the American League. George Springer hits just .209. Alejandro Kirk has an OPS in the 500s. And even if the Cooch man throws well here today for Toronto, the Jays just haven't really given him much run support. The lefty comes into today's game with a losing 2-4 record. Now, injury-wise, Dalton Varsho is questionable for the Jays. Joey Bart's out for Pittsburgh. 3 out of Pittsburgh's last 4 road games did get over the total. We're also 8-2 to the over in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Pirates plus 1.5, over 8. Next game, Rays, Orioles, 4:05 Eastern first pitch. Baltimore's minus $1.55, total 7.5. Kyle Bradish for the O's, Taj Bradley for Tampa Bay. And despite a few solid appearances for Bradley, he's only got 1 win to show for it. As a matter of fact, the righty comes into today's game with a 1-2 record on the season. And a lot of that has to do with low run production. The Rays are a bottom 5 run scoring team in the league. And they got to face Kyle Bradish, who's looked solid in a handful of showings. He's got an ERA in the 1s along with a 1.05 whip. And even if Bradish struggles here today, this is a dangerous Baltimore lineup. They're in the top 3 in runs per game. Gunnar Henderson has the 2nd most homers in the bigs, top 10 in RBI. Adley Rutschman leads the clubhouse in hits. Now, injury-wise, Jordan Westburg's questionable for Baltimore. Josh Lowe's out for Tampa Bay. When it comes to the total, 3 out of the O's last 4 home games did get over the total. They're also 7-3 to the over in their last 10 at any location. Give me Baltimore, minus 155, over 7.5. Next game, D-backs, Mets, 4:10 Eastern first pitch. The New York Mets are minus 135 at home, totals 8 runs. Sean Manaea for New York, Slade Ciccone for Arizona. And regardless of how bad Ciccone's been, the Mets are typically terrible at the plate in Flushing, Queens. These guys are 2nd to last in runs per game at home. Brandon Nimmo's batting just .214. Jeff McNeil with an OPS of .618. They're facing an Arizona club who can certainly produce runs themselves. These guys are a top 10 run scoring team. Now, injury-wise, Perdomo and Thomas are still out for Arizona. Alvarez inactive for New York. 6 out of the Mets' last 10 ball games got over the line. They also went 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Arizona. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. Give me the Diamondbacks plus $1.15, over 8. Next contest, White Sox Brewers, 4:10 Eastern start time. Milwaukee's minus 160, total 7.5. Robert Gasser for Milwaukee, Garrett Crochet for Chicago. And as good as Crochet's been, well, He's unfortunately pitching for a terrible program here. He comes into today's contest with a handful of losses. And of course, the White Sox are dead last in the league in runs per game. And they're squaring off against Robert Gasser, who's looked good in a handful of outings. The lefty's 2-0 with a 1.96 ERA. And even if Gasser sucks here today, he is backed by a top 3 run scoring team. William Contreras, he's hitting .323 and has the 6th most RBI in the majors. Meanwhile, Christian Yelich is batting .325 and he has an OPS in the high 900s. Now, injury-wise, Robert and Jimenez are both still out for the White Sox. 6 out of Chicago's last 10 gatherings with the Brewers did fall under the total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. And out of a dozen Garrett Crochet starts this year, all of those games fell under the total except for 2. Give me the Brewers minus 160, under 7.5. Next game, Tigers, Red Sox, 4:10 Eastern start time. Detroit's a $1.15, total 8.5. Reese Olson for the Tigers, Cooper Criswell for Boston. Now, Criswell comes into today's game with an ERA in the 4s. He does not have a winning record. And unfortunately for him, the Bo Sox are at home this weekend. And the reason why that's a problem is, well, they're a bottom 5 run scoring team on their own diamond. And they could have their hands full here today with Reese Olson on the mound. Don't let that record fool you. The righty's got a 1.92 ERA along with a 1.05 whip for the Tigers. And these Detroit pitchers have shown some excellent control. They're walking only 2.6 batters per 9. Now, injury-wise, Mark Canha is questionable for the Tigers. Kerry Carpenter still out. Meanwhile, for Boston on the other side, Masataka Yoshida is still inactive for them. Now, 4 out of Boston's last 5 at Fenway stayed under the number. They were also 60% to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me Detroit minus $1.15, under 8.5. Next game, Twins, Astros, 4:10 Eastern start time. Houston's minus $1.35, total 7.5. Framber Valdez for Houston, Joe Ryan for Minnesota. And Ryan's having a strong first half of the year. The righty's got an ERA in the 2s along with 73 strikeouts. And of course, at the plate, they've got a handful of guys who are just getting the job done. Ryan Jeffers has an OPS of .892, club leader in homers and runs batted in. And Willie Castro's got the most hits in the clubhouse. They're facing Framber Valdez, who's definitely allowed his fair share of runs for the Astros. The lefty's got an ERA in the 4s along with a 1.34 whip. Strikeouts are also down this year for Framber. Out of 30 ball games at Minute Maid Park, the Astros still have a losing record on their own diamond. Now, injury-wise, Royce Lewis is still inactive for the Twins. When it comes to the total, 7 out of Minnesota's last 10 ball games did stay under the line. Meanwhile, Houston went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me Minnesota plus $1.15, under 7.5. Next contest, A's, Braves, 4:10 p.m. East. Atlanta's the $3.10 favorite, totals 8 runs. Chris Sale for Atlanta, Aaron Brooks for Oakland. And as good as Brooks has looked in a handful of innings, there's a good chance he won't get much run support. The A's are currently the lowest hit-producing roster on the road in the league. They have to face Chris Sale, who's 8-1 for the Braves with a .85 whip. Now, the lefty's also struck out 78 batters and has an ERA of 2.12. Now, Sale's also backed by an Atlanta lineup who loves to hit the baseball. The Braves are in the top 5 in hits per game on their own field. Marcell Ozuna, he hits .310 and has the second most RBI in the majors. Michael Harris, he has the second most hits on the roster. Now, Atlanta saw 3 out of their last 5 at Truist Park stay under the total. Meanwhile, Oakland went 60% to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Braves minus 1.5, under 8. Next game, Padres, Royals, 4:10 p.m. East. San Diego's $1.20, total 8.5. Joe Musgrove for the Pods. Alec Marsh for Kansas City. Marsh is 4-2 with an ERA in the low threes. Now, the righties also got a stingy 1.06 whip. Of course, at the plate, not many teams are hitting better at home than Kansas City. They're averaging more runs a game on their own field than any other roster besides one. Salvi Perez is hitting .321. Bobby Witt Jr.'s got the most hits and RBI. And they're facing a Padres club who lost 4 out of their last 7 interleague ball games. And out of their last 10 gatherings with Kansas City, they've certainly had a tough time getting them out. These San Diego pitchers allowed over 6.3 runs a game during that time frame. As far as today's matchup is concerned, well, might not be much different. Joe Musgrove's got a losing record and a sloppy 5.66 ERA. Now, injury-wise, Xander Bogaerts is still out for the Padres. Michael Massey's inactive for Kansas City. Give me KC plus $1, under 8.5. Next game, Rangers, Marlins, 4:10 Eastern start time. Texas is minus $1.25, totals 8. Michael Lorenzen for Texas. Ryan Weathers for Miami. Despite a really strong year, Weathers does not have a winning record to show for it. The lefty comes into today's start with a 3-4 record. And this Miami lineup continues to have problems scoring. They're in the bottom 3 in runs per game. And they're going up against Michael Lorenzen, who's got an ERA in the 3s, along with a 1.18 whip. And of course, at the plate, the Rangers are a top 5 run-producing lineup in the American League. Marcus Semien leads the lineup in hits. Corey Seager's got the most home runs. When it comes to the injury list, Evan Carter still out for the Rangers. Garcia inactive for Miami. Give me Texas minus $1.25, over 8 runs. Next game, it is going to be Nationals Guardians, 4:10 Eastern start time. Cleveland's minus $1.45, totals 8.5. Ben Lively for the Guardians, Mitchell Parker for Washington. And despite some really good work this year out of Parker, the Nats are having a tough time getting base runners. They're averaging under 7.8 hits a game on the road. Joey Gallo's batting just $1.47. Joey Meneses an OPS in the low 600s. And they're facing righty Ben Lively, who's got a 2.80 ERA and a 1.18 whip. And of course, as a team, the Guardians are 19-6 this year at Progressive Field. Now, total-wise, the Guardians have gone 60% to the under in their interleague games. Meanwhile, Washington is 10-3 to the under against American League opponents on the road. Give me Cleveland minus 145, under 8.5. All right, next matchup, Reds, Cubs, 7:15 Eastern start time. Chicago's minus $1.30, total 7. Justin Steele for Chicago, Hunter Green for Cincinnati. And even though Green's look good, he's looked good. But the lineup of hitters behind him stink. Cincinnati's dead last in hits per game. Will Benson hits just .201, second most strikeouts on the roster. Johnny India's got an OPS in the 600s. They're going to face Justin Steele, who's got a 1.05 whip through 32-plus innings. And out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head gatherings, the Cubs have absolutely dominated this Cincy pitching staff. They averaged over 7.9 runs a game during those meetings. Now, total-wise, the Reds are 60% to the under in their divisional games. Give me Chicago, the Cubs, minus 130, under 7. Next game, Angels, Mariners, 7:15 Eastern start time. Seattle's minus $1.75, total 7.5. Bryce Miller for the M's, Reed Detmers for Los Angeles. And even though Detmers has allowed his fair share of runs, strikeouts are up for the lefty. He's fanned 67 batters in just 59-plus innings. And when it comes to cashing in on the run line, the Angels have been one of the best covering teams in the game. They're currently 20-9 against the number in their road trips. And even more impressive, the Angels are a perfect 7-0 against the run line in their divisional games. And they're facing a Seattle club who hasn't been so crisp covering the run line themselves. Out of 18 home games against American League opponents, the M's covered in just 38% of those contests. And a lot of that is due to some miserable plate appearances. Seattle striking out more times a game at home than any other lineup in the league. And because of that, they're averaging a league-low 6.6 hits a game in their own building. Mitch Garver bats just $1.66. Mitch Haniger, an OPS in the low 600s. Now, injury-wise, Polanco still out for Seattle. Sean Well, questionable for the Angels. 4 out of Seattle's last 5 in front of their own crowd fell under the total. They're also 70% to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Angels plus 1.5, under 7.5. Next game, Cardinals, Phillies, 7:15 Eastern start time. Philadelphia's minus 145, total 7.5. Ranger Suarez for the Fightins, Sonny Gray for St. Louis. And as good as Gray's been, well, he's backed by a terrible lineup of hitters. These guys are in the bottom 5 in run production on the road. And then their last 10 gatherings with Philadelphia, they really haven't been able to hit Philly pitching. They were held to just 2.5 runs a game during that time frame. Nolan Gorman bats just .214. Paul Goldschmidt with an OPS of .660. And they got to take on Ranger Suarez, who's 9-1 with an ERA of 1.75. Now, this Phil's pitching staff is also striking out more batters a game at home than any other club in the majors. They're averaging double-digit strikeouts a game on their own diamond. Now, injury-wise, Turner still out for Philadelphia. Brendan Donovan questionable for the Redbirds. St. Louis's last 4 straight on the road stayed under the total. They're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Philadelphia saw 7 out of their last 10 stay under the total themselves. Give me the Phillies, minus 145, under 7.5. Next contest, Yankees, Giants, 10:05 East. San Francisco's $1.25 at home, total 7.5. Logan Webb for the Giants. Cody Poteet for New York. And Poteet looked really good in his debut. And I'll tell you what, these Yankee pitchers have been pretty much unhittable this year. They're allowing fewer hits per 9 than any other staff in baseball. They're facing a Giants club who lost 5 out of their last 7 interleague ball games. And in their Hello?
Hello.
What are you doing?
I'm running to Lowe's for plants.
Oh, okay.
You need anything? You want anything in particular?
From Lowe's?
Plants.
Plants? No. Whatever you want to grab.
Okay. I'll be back.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
Now, the Giants lost 5 out of their last 7 interleague ball games. And in their last 10 gatherings with the Yankees, they were held to just 2.7 runs a game. Jorge Soler bats just $1.99. Flores with an OPS in the 500s. When it comes to the injury list, Wade, Luciano, and Ahmed are out for the Giants. Birdie still inactive for New York. 4 out of the Bombers' last 7 road games did fall under the total. Meanwhile, San Francisco's 62% to the under at Oracle Park. Give me the Yankees, plus 105, under 8. And with that, we're going to dive into our next and final breakdown for the video. Going to be in that Rockies-Dodgers game. That'll be a 10:10 Eastern first pitch. The Dodgers are the $3 favorite, total 7.5. Yoshi Yamamoto for Los Angeles. Cal Quantrill for Colorado. And even though Quantz has been good this year, the Rockies have been bad. They're a bottom 10 run producing lineup on the road. And they got to face Yoshi. And they got to face Yoshi Yamamoto on the bump. 5-2 record, 1.10 whip. And even if Yamamoto struggles, he is backed by a top 5 run producing lineup at home. Mookie Betts hits 326, seventh highest OPS in the bigs. Shohei Ohtani's got an OPS in the thousands, along with 14 home runs. When it comes to the injury list, Muncy's out for the Dodgers. Jones inactive for Colorado. When it comes to the total, 6 out of Colorado's last 10 ball games did get over the total. While the Dodgers went 8-3 to the over in their last 10 divisional home games. Give me the Dodgers minus 1.5 over 8. And with that, folks, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Give me the Pirates plus 1.5 over 8. Orioles minus 155 over 7.5. I'm 4-0 my last 4 daily best plays on my premium site. Arizona plus $1.15 over 8. Brewers minus 160 under 7.5. Tigers minus $1.15 under 8.5 runs. Twins plus $1.15 under 7.5. Braves minus 1.5 under 8. Royals plus $1 under 8.5. Rangers minus $1.25 over 8 runs. Guardians minus 145 under 8.5. Cubs minus 130 under 7. Angels plus 1.5 under 7.5. Phillies minus $1.45 under 7.5. Yankees plus 105 under 8. Give me the Dodgers minus 1.5 over 8 runs. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium site. Now, if you do end up getting a membership here today on patreon.com/BrockPage, just a friendly reminder, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase. That's why I always tell folks that Chairman package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. Gives you access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you also get access to my Chairman podcast absolutely free. It's included with your purchase. But most importantly, folks, gotta thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, folks, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium site at patreon.com/BrockPage.